Hi.
Hello, guys. My name is Stojan Lisickov. I'm from Macedonia, and today I'll try to give like a short little presentation about HTML and CSS. So I've been studying, practicing whatever HTML and CSS for more like a year. Now I've been to a programming school in Macedonia, and that's where I learned. And I think it's pretty simple and pretty easy and very intuitive once you get into it. So I think it will be fun. So today, for you, I've made like a short little template. Let me just share my screen. So today we'll try to do something similar to this, basically. So we'll just start now, if you don't mind. So yeah, let's go. So basically, so we'll work on Visual Studio Code. For me, it's the easiest to understand. Like it just does stuff for you that you don't need to worry about. So we will start. We will load a folder here. Oh, second. So over here, we open a folder. Here it is. And we start. So basically, what you have to do, you have to open a file. It's usually programmers do index. That's like the home page. So we can do that, index.html. And also for the CSS, almost every time it's called style.css. If you don't have Visual Studio Code and you want to follow along, you can do that via Notepad. It's not a problem. You can write your code there. Okay, so let's start basically. And I will show you what everything means. Just a shortcut, HTML5. It will do everything for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So basically, we'll start from the beginning. Since HTML is not a programming language, we should all know that. So yes, using the doc type declaration, we are saying that we're using the newest version, HTML5. This is the HTML tag. It has to exist if you want a website to work. The language part is just saying which language are we going to use. And then we go to the head and body parts. Basically, in the head part, we're just saying how our website we want, what on our website we want to like show. So basically, we are giving the title name here. So we can just do portfolio landing page. And this is our title. This will show up right over here. Okay, and then this is just for it to be responsive. The meta tags, you can have like tons of meta tags. You can do keywords, so it's easier for the browser when you're looking. Like you can show like some keywords, for example, portfolio, computer science, or history, or whatever your major is. You can just link it as a keyword, and whenever someone is looking on the browser, it will just show up. So next step, what we need to do is we need to link the CSS. So this is how we link the external file. CSS, you can do it in three ways. CSS can be done like you can do it right here if you wanna do it, and this is also good. But it's like for clarity, it's for me the best if we just like use an external file because it's much nicer and easier to work. it's just the style part is just on one side. You don't need to worry about it. You don't need to go up and down your code to see it. Okay, so since we're done, we can just go into the body. The body, like everything in the head, is not shown in the browser, but in the body is where it counts. So basically, we'll start with just some simple. I don't know how many of you are familiar with HTML, so we'll just start with first like a basic overview of what the tags are. And what's good about HTML is it's very simple. If you wanna do a paragraph, for example, this is the tag that you're doing a paragraph. It's P. If you wanna do let's say a link, it's A. That's all. That's all. If you want to do a heading, you have 6 different types of heading. You have H1 down to H6. Every tag has like a different width and height, but that's pretty much it. And also another key thing, when you're using H1, please try to use it just once in an HTML file, because with this H1 is where the browser looks. If you don't have keywords, this is where it will look. And it's good if you just have it only once, and then every other thing you can style by yourself. If you want the height of H1 and it's a H3 paragraph, it's super simple. You just need to change the font size and that's it. Okay, so that's basically pretty much it. We'll start with simple things. Okay, so we have a section. So section is basically where you can divide all your paragraphs. You can put them, or not paragraphs, all your sections on the page, right? So it's good when you're using it. So you can use class, and then we can say landing, for example. Okay, and with this, we are putting all of the section that's going to be in the landing in one whole group. We're just grouping it. Okay, so we are gonna start with let's start with this, and then after that we are gonna put a banner I showed you. So we are gonna do a div class banner. So basically div is same like section. You're just putting it into a group. And once we're done with the banner, right, let's style the banner. Let's do it like here. The banner should be this part right here that we're showing, and this whole thing can be the section or the body. I don't recommend you using style on the body that much, because it will translate to all the pages that you're gonna do. If you're linking it, for example, to the about, and you're using the same CSS file, it will just link to the other thing, and maybe you don't want this to be in the background. So yeah, let's start with a simple thing. We can do this, and since let me open it up in a new live folder, let me open it like this. Okay, so here it is, index. You see the title right here is for the landing page, but it's empty. Okay, so let's style it up. We can use this. Let's open it here, and we go to the file. Since it's linked, we just need to start doing it. So basically, the first thing that you should do is margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing for the box. With this, you're saying that everything, you're selecting everything that's gonna be inside the HTML. So you don't need to go step by step and just say for this margin 0, for this margin 0, for this margin 0. You're just gonna select everything and just put margin 0 on everything. Padding is the same. Margin is like the space after the border, and padding is inside the border that you want to have separated with anything that's gonna be inside that div or section whatever you're gonna group it with. Okay. After that, we are gonna go and we're gonna say the landing. So since we're saying this, we're gonna first style the landing. Okay, so what do we need to put in? So first we need to put width. Like how much do we want? We want 100% of the whole screen. We want it to be that part, and then we're gonna do height 100 VH. VH is view height, so basically 100% of the screen that you're using. So it doesn't matter if it's mobile, it's gonna be the whole screen. If it's computer, it's gonna be the whole screen. It's the same. Okay, once we did that, let's we want to change the background, right? So we don't want it to be white because we are going for more of a dark theme. Okay, so let's put some shade of black. You can put whatever, it doesn't need to be black, just as an example. Yep, and that's basically it. So we can go, let's check it. Yes, it's black. Good. Now, let's do the banner. So we're doing this. We're going step by step, so we know what we're doing. So we are doing the banner. We are selecting the banner, and if there's two ways like to mention this, and you can also do ID, and ID can be landing as well. And first, the class, you can reuse it. So it's very good if you have, like, for example, cards. You can reuse the same thing. You can just style one card and then put the same class name for like 10 cards, and every single card will have the same style, which is very beneficial. But with the ID, you cannot. With the ID, you can use it just once and that's it. So yes, basically, I'm mostly using class. With ID, it's very nice because you can, like, for example, link it from this. You can link the navbar with the ID class. However you want to, for example, top, because I usually use top. And then when you're scrolling all the way down and you have that button that says just like click to go back to top. When you click it, it just links it with the ID and just takes you back. So that's where ID is used. But you can use it either with ID, either with class. It's pretty much the same for this. So if you want to use it with ID, you need to do this. If you need to do the hashtag, and if you are using it with class, it's done. Okay, so now let's start with the banner. Right, and I've chose some backgrounds, so we can put background, and since I'm using an image, you have to provide an URL, and it's very good if you have it in separate right here, because in separate folder, and not just use the URL from the internet itself, because it's more convenient when you have it with you have it, like you don't need some other website to have it for you, to host it for you. And we're selecting the folder. It's in our IMG folder. We're selecting it and we're saying banner, because that's how I call the picture. Okay, let's see how it looks now. Oh, it doesn't look anyways. Why? Because we haven't set the width and the height, right? So we have to set the width of the whole banner. So we want 80%, for example, and we want the height to be 70 VH. Okay, so now we will have it now. Let's check it. Yes, it's here, but as you can see, the picture is kind of off. It's not central, and the whole banner is not central, but we'll fix that in a moment. So what we need to do now, if we want the whole picture to fit inside, we need to do background size. and we have to use cover. And with this, the picture is just put like automatically by itself. You don't need to do it. It's here. It's no matter how big the picture is, it will fit inside this div. Okay, so after that, what we can do is background position. Where do you want it to be positioned? I want it center. So the center of the picture will be in the center of the div. Okay, and after that, what we need also, because we're gonna use positions, is we needed to say that its position is gonna be relative. With this, we're just saying that we can put any element that we want inside that div however we want it, but it's gonna be inside. It's not gonna be outside. So whenever we are gonna use the position relative, it's gonna be inside this box. It won't be here. So we're just saying that anything that we position is gonna be inside here with the position relative. Okay, and as we can see, we don't want it to be like this. We want it centered, right? So there's a couple of ways that you can do it, but the easiest is display flex. So with display flex, we're just saying there's like multiple displays that you can use. You can use flex, you can use inline, inline block. You can do those are like basically the three more used, but what I would suggest is to use flex almost all the time because it's really like good. You have everything. So with flex, there's two things that go hand in hand, like you cannot miss them. So it's justify content, and the justify content tells us where do we want it. Do we want it all the way to the end? Do we want it in the middle? Do we want it over here? If it's two parts, do we want it separated? And you can do, basically there's like endless opportunities that you can do with justify content. Then we're doing align items. The align items is the same as justify content, just for vertical. Justify content is horizontal and align items is vertical. Okay, so now we positioned our banner where we want it. Just with display flex. That's basically where it's used, and it's very good when you have it. Okay, so we're done with that, and we can do a cool trick with the background, so it's not this very like old-fashioned. We can just make it a little bit nicer. So what we can do is right over here. Let's do it, and we can use linear gradient. Linear gradient is like a cool trick. If, for example, the image is too bright and it's just like the colors do not really fit into what you want, you can just make it a little bit like darker or like put some color on top of it. So let's start. We can do RGBA. Let's do it like this, so it's much nicer. See? Okay. So the color combination 0 is black, 255 is completely white. Everything in between is some shades that the computer is gonna provide. There's like some codes, codes that you can look online, and they will tell you more specifically what they are about. But let's do RGBA. So we want completely dark, and this is red, blue, and how well? Let's check it. Let's do RGBA. Yeah, it won't show me. I think the first one is red, the second one is blue, the third one is some colors that I forgot. Green. So it's basically, if we do 255, 0, and 0, it's gonna be completely red, as you can see. So we want completely dark, and if we want completely dark, it's gonna be 0. And the last one is how transparent we want it to be. So we want it to be 0.8 basically. So we're just gonna gonna copy this and paste it twice, because linear gradient goes from one color to another color. You cannot use linear gradient just with one color. If you want to use it with one color, like I do, you just copy it and that's it. Pretty much, it's pretty simple. Let's see what did it change. She changed a lot because I forgot to put. So you have to use the comma right here because it won't work. And here is a little bit darker, and now you can put some text and it won't be hard to read. Basically, that's why I did it, because you can put some text over here and it won't be that hard to read. Okay, so now we're done with positioning and everything. So let's start with putting some HTML things that will show up. So let's start with the logo, right? Yeah. Let's start with the logo. Usually the logos are linked because they always link you back to the home page. So we can just link it back. And you can link. This is like the tag for link, and you must use href, because you have to tell them where do you want it to be linked. So we want it to be linked. Whenever you click it, go back to the home page. Okay, and then we can just use welcome. Let's check it out. Let's see how it looks. It's right here. And since it's a link, it has its own CSS styles. As you can see, it has an underline. It's bluish, purplish. So let's change that, right? So let's position it as we want it. By the way, do you understand so far? Is it good? Can you hear me well?
Yes, everything is good.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go. So we can put the A, because since we're gonna link everything, since we're grouping everything, we can put it in a group. Let's put it in a group and let's call it logo. Okay. And now let's position that group, that div. Let's position it where we want it. Okay. And let's do it dot logo. And then if you wanna, this is the div, and if you wanna get an element inside it, you have to first link where. So you have to put the class name, and after that you're gonna say what's the element. The element right now is A. Okay, so we were saying that we wanted position absolute. So now with position absolute, we're having the whole banner as our playground, and we can position it everywhere we want it. 2 pixels from the left, 5 pixels from the top, put it all the way to the right, and you can do whatever. You can position it literally wherever you want it with position absolute. Okay. So since we're using position absolute, we have to say where do we want it positioned, right? So we want it, let's say, 10% from the left, and we want it, let's say 5 VH from the top. And let's see where it is. It's 10% from the left and 5 VH from the top. That's good. We positioned it basically where we want it, but still doesn't look as we want it. It still has that underline. So let's change that. So if you want to delete that underline, you can use text decoration. Even if you don't have the underline, for example, you want to use it for paragraph or for heading, you can go through, as you can see. So you can put it dash, dotted, double, line through if you want to cross it, and none is what we're going to use now because we don't want it. And since we're using now, you see, we lost it. So that's good. Now we want to change the color because we don't want it purple. And the color is pretty much very simple to change. Just do this. And then I have already like done mine. I I've chosen like some yellowish color that I wanted to use. So here, this is the code. Let's see how it looks. Here it is. And now, but I don't like it because it's too small. So how can we change that? So we're going to font size. And with the font size, we're just going to say 2M. So basically, M is nice to use because it's responsive. So when you lower the website, when it's for phone, for example, it will fit accordingly. It won't be stuck. For example, if you're doing 24 pixels, that means it's going to be 24 pixels. Either it's on the laptop or on the phone. And with M, it changes accordingly. So that's why we're using it. And let's see how it looks now. Okay, so now it's bigger. So now it looks better. Okay, so since we're done with that, let's continue with something else. So we're done with the logo. It's good. Now let's create a navigation bar. So this class, navbar, pretty simple. And then we're just linking a couple of navigation links. So we're doing href, and when you don't want, because for now we don't want to lead anywhere because we don't have a page, for example, for about. Since we don't have it, you use this and this will do nothing. Literally, when you click it, it won't do anything. So let's copy this 4 times. We're copying it and then we're changing the name. So let's say project, let's say gallery, and let's say contact. You can put whatever you want inside it. It depends on what your portfolio is going to be about. If it's for design, it's very good if you have gallery, if you have projects inside it. So yes, that's why I put gallery, but you can put whatever you want. That's not a problem. So let's check how it looks now. So they're here. And since this is position relative, the whole banner, they will always position on top. Okay, so let's change that. Let's do the same thing like we did before. Okay, that's cool. So now we're gonna call then the div class, the div called navbar right here, right? And we're gonna say we want it position absolute, right? So we can do whatever we want with it. But now, since we're doing something interesting, I'll just do the code and then I'll tell you what I'm doing. So we're doing negative 10%. With the left, you can also, because you can position it however you want to, you can also go with negative. So it will go out of the banner. From here, you see, it will go out of it. You don't have a problem. You can use negatives as well if you want to position it wherever you want it. Okay, so let's do that. Now we positioned it left, and now we're going to position it top 50%. And we want it to be 50% from the top down, right? So we want it right here in the center. Good. Next, because we're gonna rotate it a little, we have to put like a width because it's nice. It's nice to have. So we want just 30% of it. We want display flex, justify content, space between or around is the same. So with space here, you see we're using again the display flex, but we're using it a little bit different. Like last time we used it in center, so we can put the banner in the center. But right now we are not putting the whole navbar. We're just saying inside the navbar, we want it every element that's inside the navbar, we want it to have space between. So this is the width, it's 30%, right? Because we declared it, it's gonna be 30%. And we want it to space around. So we want some space here, so it's not close to the border. We want some space here, some space here. Again, point is pretty pretty easy. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna transform this. So you're saying transform, and now we're gonna rotate it. And we're gonna rotate it by 270 degrees. And what will this do? Check it out. It rotated and positioned it this way. So with transform, it's very like cool. You can do like a lot of things. You can rotate, you can scale, you can skew, you can do tons and tons of things, really cool things. You can translate it. So basically when we use translate, we're just saying next time when, like, for example, I hover, you move it to the left, you move it to the right. So it really makes the website more interactive. So that's good. Okay, so now we positioned it where we want it. So we positioned the div where we want it. But let's change it because we don't want this to be with underlines. We don't want it to be blue. Okay, so let's change that. So how we're doing that, we're just saying we want the div with class navbar, and we want its A tags. So we want every single one of these. Okay. And we're just saying, let's change the color. And the color can be whatever color you want. You can do white, and white is also this is white as well. And we want it to not have any decorations. And we want to have the transition. So transition is also a cool feature. That is introduced with CSS3. So basically, we want it next time when we reload. We want this to take 0.5 seconds to show up, and it's very cool. And I'll show you why I'm saying transition right here, because we're gonna make something cool. So when we hover the mouse over the links with the mouse, we can just make it more responsive and change stuff. Okay, so now, as I said, let's do it right now. So let's do navbar A, and then we're using this. We're saying that whenever we hover over the links, we want something to happen. And what we want, for example, to change the color to, let's say, the same color that we use, the same yellowish color, right? Okay. We want to have some padding on the bottom. So we want to have some space in the bottom, and we want, for example, let's say 1 page. Doesn't matter. We can customize it. You can do, for example, 10 pixels, however you want to do it. It's up to you. Let's say that we want a border, but we want just border bottom. And let's do 1 pixel solid. And let's do white. So basically with border bottom, we are just saying how thick should the border be. We want it just 1 pixel. Should it be solid, dotted, however you want to do it. And then we're just saying what color we want the border to be. Okay, so let's check it out. So it's white. When we hover it, it's becoming yellow. And it's having the transition that we said over here. This is what makes that effect. So it's just more responsive. It's not plain, so that's cool. Okay, so we're done with that as well. So far, do you have any questions? Do you understand everything?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, let's continue now. Let's check the chat. Clear. Very good. So far, so good. Now, since we're done with that, let's create something else. So we want to create the box that I showed you where there was like a person inside, right? Okay. Basically, that's where you put, it's very nice for a portfolio to have a picture of yourself. Okay, so we're doing that. Div class, we're saying image box, we're closing the div, and this is the tag for image. Pretty simple. So it's just image, and we're saying the source where it can be found, and we're saying mine is inside the image folder that we have, and then person. I'll call that picture, and that's it. So let's check it out. Let's see how it looks. It looks terrible. Why it looks terrible? Because we don't have any style inside the box. That's good. So let's change that. Let's make the box how we want it. As I showed you previously, or maybe it's better if I just do that right away. I think it's better if I just show you right here what I'm doing now. So we have done this part. We have done this part. We positioned the banner. So now let's put the image box. So basically, this is a box. So why don't we just do it like that? We just position it as a box. So we're down to there. But as we can see, no, it doesn't look good. Okay, let's change that. Let's change that. So we're saying how is it called? Getting this class. We're getting this div. And we want it to have, let's do position absolute. We want to position it, right? So we want from left to have 10%, and from the bottom, we want it -5 VH. That's good. Let's check the width. We want 40%. So we're saying we want 40% inside the banner. It's not 40% of the whole screen. It's 40% inside the banner. And let's do height. Height is gonna be 60 VH. And let's do background color. You don't need to background color because we're just basically having the picture that's gonna cover the whole thing. So we're done. And as you can see, it doesn't look good. Why? Because there's an image inside that has its own width and height, and it just does its own thing. So how we can change that? We're getting the whole image box class, and then we're saying the image inside it. We want it to have width 100% and height 100%. And you might say, well, like height 100%, so it will just have its own height. But it's gonna have 100% of the div height and the div width. So it's gonna have 100% of its 40%. So it's gonna have 100% of its 60 VH. And if we go back, it's here. So we're just saying that this div, we want it to be 40% width, we want it to be 60 VH in height, and we put a picture inside it. We position this div with -5, so we want it just to be sticking out so it looks a little bit better. So it's not just boring, just a little bit to modernize it. And we're just saying that the image inside it will have 100% width and height of this div. So good, we're done with that. Let's go with this part. And let's do that. So we can also do this as a box. This is also a box. And inside that box, there are some elements. So let's do that box now. Okay. So we're going back and we're just saying we're making another div, usual. Let's call it content. And then inside this div, I'll tell you why I'm doing this in a second. I'll show you. We're going to expand. And then we're using the h1 tag that I told you to use. So we want the name. So your name. I'll put my name. Okay. So after that, we're using the h2. Okay, not the 2. h2. Okay. So now we're just saying what we are. So you can do your major, design, or like what your portfolio is going to be about. So we can just say, let's say, software engineer. I'm far from it, but I aspire to be. And then you can use whatever. Let's do business. You can just say what you are here. And then some text about you. You can use lorem. Lorem is just an empty text, so I'm just going to use lorem. But when you're doing your portfolio, you can just write a short summary of yourself. Okay, so that's good. And then after that, okay, let's do this first. So why did I put a span? Let me show you what the span is going to be about. The span is going to be this line. So basically, we're just getting. You can do a div, you can do a span. I did a span, it's not a problem. So basically a span is an element like the p tag, but it has its own. So its display is inline, so it will fit in any line. It won't take its own space. So with h1, it takes the whole line. With h2 takes the whole line. P takes the whole line, so you cannot write if you write two P's, it's gonna take its own line, it's gonna drop down. But if you use span, and then say Stojan Lisickov, it will show in one line. So there's a difference about span. Okay, so once we're done with that, let's position this box that we have. So let's see how it looks now. So this is basically it. It's positioned here. It's very hard to see because it's black. Okay. So let's change that. So we want this div. We want to take it. And let's say we want position absolute. So we're doing literally the same thing that we're doing right here. But instead of being to the left, we want it from the right. We want just 10% from the right. We want bottom 0. So we want to be all the way down and 10% from the right. Okay, that's good enough, but we still need to say the width. So we want width 40%, and we want it to be height. Let's say 55 VH. So let's check it now. As you can see, it's right here. It's good. So basically, it's 10% from the right, and it's all the way in the bottom. That's good. Now let's change that. Let's first do the line. As you can see here, we have the line. So I told you this is going to be the span. So if it's going to be the span, let's do it. Let's do the span. So we're doing dot content, and then we're just saying inside this div, I want to take the span, and we're going to do position absolute. So we were just saying that this span is going to be position absolute, but it's going to be positioned inside this content. And then we're saying we want left 10%, we want top 0 because we want it to be all the way in the top. We want height of, let's say, 3 pixels, and then we want the width of 40%. So we want 40% out of this 40%. And we want background, and we want to use this. So let's see if this shows. It's right here. So here is this line that we did. It's good. So still the text doesn't look very nice. It's here, but it's kind of bad. So let's change that as well. Okay, so we're just saying first we're gonna get the H1. So we're going to content and then H1. We want the H1 tag inside the content div, and we're going to do position absolute. So we want to position it by ourselves. So we want from the left 10%. We want from the top 5vh. We want font size, so we want to increase it to look it a little bit better. And let's say we want color, because we have to use color. Let's use white, because with black you cannot see anything. And here it is. Let's check it out. Yes, it's here. That's good. Link. So now let's change the H2 tag, or the tag where we the line that we say what we want to do, what we're offering. Okay. So let's get that. We're getting the H2 tag. We're saying we still want. So we're gonna position everything by ourselves. So we want position absolute. That's good. We want from the left 10%. Let's do from the top 13 VH. And let's do color. Let's do the same yellowish color that I already got. Let's look. See, it's right here. Good. So now let's do the P tag right here. Let's put it where we want it. So pretty much the same thing. We're pressing content P. We want position absolute. We want it from the left 10%. So I'm just doing this manually, but all you needed to do, if you wanted it, you can just put padding on the left side 10%, and then it will just technically 25% if you want 10% of this. And let's do it after that. So we want left 10%. We want from the top 13. No, we use 13 already. Okay, so we're gonna use bottom. Let's say we want 25% from the bottom, to be from the bottom 25% up. We're doing that. So let's change the width so it's more diverse, because we don't want it going all the way until the end. And let's change the color. It's good. And it's right here. That's great. Now we needed to do two more things. We are almost done. You can see. But let's make it a little bit nicer. So let's just add line height, say 1vh. Let's see what that will change. So with line height, we're just saying how the difference between the lines, how much space we want between the lines. So let's change that. Let's do 24 pixels. Let's see how that will look. It will look better. Yes. So we have some space. So that's good. Now let's make these links and this part right here. So with these links, it's very nice. It's a site called Font Awesome. So right here, that gives you all of this. So we're gonna do Font Awesome right here. All you needed to do is just link it. So just start for free, and then you'll get the link right here. You can download it, you can install it, however you want it. So basically, let's start it. So you're gonna get a link Font Awesome to HTML. So here it goes, and here is basically I'm using always this because it's very easy to get it. Like you don't need to search inside their web. You're just getting this, and as you can see, it's a style sheet. So like CSS, and we're gonna include it inside the head right here. Okay, so now we can use their icons. It's very nice, and we want it inside right here. So we're just saying we want it to be a link because it will take us to a Facebook page. You can put the URI here from the Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, however. And let's do this and let's get it from the site. Facebook. Let's get this. And this is where you copy it. You copy it from here, copy HTML. As you can see, we're going here and we're just copying it. And since we're using this link, we're just deleting the B, and that's all we need to do. And we're doing it 3 times. Let's first put it inside a div because we're gonna have multiple, call it social. We're gonna have multiple links. Okay, so we're doing 3, and we don't want Facebook now. We want, for example, Twitter. Now we want Instagram. You can just write Instagram. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay. Need it. Here is how it's supposed to look, and here they are. Okay, let's position them where we want it. Okay, do that. So we're doing it right now. We're just saying, so it's going to be, that's inside the content, right? And since it's inside the content, we can link it. And it's very nice. You don't need to, you can just put social, but it's very clear when you're linking it. It's inside this div, and you just know where it is. You don't need to look for it. Okay, so then we're doing this social, and we want position absolute, right? Absolute true, we want absolute, we want from the left 10%, and then we want from the bottom 5%. So we want 10% from the left side and we want from the bottom 5%. So let's see how that looks. Okay, it's here, that's good. Now let's just change it so it's not blue. And how we can do that? Content, social, and then the A tag inside it, and we're just changing it. Let's do this color. Let's make it so it has some space in between. And we can just pixels. We don't need this. Let's do this 20 pixels, and then let's say font size 2M. And let's see how it looks. It's right here, as you can see. And it's basically it. We're almost done. So here, I put this so you can just do as a slider. So it will change like the picture and the text, or you can just take you to the about. But this is with Java, and since it's just pure HTML and CSS, we're not using Java. We don't even need to do it, but we can do it if you want to. And basically we got a landing page of a portfolio done. And also you can just change the for example, this is Times New Roman. Let's change the font family. So if you want to change the font family for the whole thing, you just say font family, and then let's do sans serif, right? Let's see how that will look. It will look a little bit better. So we have the transition right here. That's cool. And then after you're making your projects, your about, your gallery, or however, or whatever you're gonna put inside these things, after you're gonna make that website, that page, you're just gonna link it right here. Show you. Just gonna link it right here. You're gonna say, for example, about is gonna be about.html. About.html. And that's basically it. So next time when you click, it will just take you to the about page. So any questions that you have? Do you understand everything? The concept, it's pretty simple. So if you want to change the color, for example, in CSS, you just change the color. You just say color and then you change it to whatever. It's pretty much, I think it's the easiest way to start. For example, if you don't know, I didn't know any computer science stuff, 0 programming languages, nothing. And then I started with this because it's the easiest to start, and then you understand the logic of it. And after that, you start learning new stuff every time. So any questions? How I did it? Anything that's
great event, Stojan. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you. Too complicated for me. I would definitely go with digital marketing. Okay. That also works as well. So any questions? Or that's it. Thank you, Kesa. Can I show this out? Sure, I'll show it right away. Put it here. So, Veselin, if you want, you can just unmute and tell me where you got like stuck, and we can just fix it together if you want it. Oh, thank you, Maria. Well, it looks and is simple. So the last thing in the bottom, sure. So the last thing in the bottom right here. So the content here, if you want to do it, sure. No problem. Do you understand everything, Veselin? How I did it? What's happening? Everyone else, what do you think? Is it easy? Is it hard? I don't have a problem with it. We can just make it responsive. So this basically we just did it for the web. So for the laptop or big screens, maybe if you want to, we can do a continuation. So we can do this landing page responsive, so it will work for phones as well, because that's really important. If you're doing a portfolio, you have to, someone will open it from the phone as well. So you have to be, your website has to be responsive as well. So we can do a part 2 if you want to. We can upload it on YouTube. Thank you. Goodbye.